Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Craig. This is where we talk about all things firearms, firearms-related, politics, policy, culture, movies, you name it. We're talking about it right here on Coffee with Craig. So we very much appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate you guys being a part of the conversation. Please remember to like and share this video feed so that you can get the alerts as soon as they come up, whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube. And also subscribe to our podcast. This is also an audio podcast. So if you don't have time to either watch it on your phone and you don't want to be distracted driving, you can always set it up to receive our podcasts. You can get them through iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, you name it. There's like nine different services that we push to, that we distribute to. So all you have to do is follow the link in the description of this video, anchor.fm/coffee with Craig, and you can find the different apps that we're playing on. Also, want to remind you guys, and you guys may not know this, but on Saturdays, we put out a video product called This Week in Gun Rights. It's kind of a light take on different news stories that have happened during the week. And actually, this week's going to be an interesting one because we're going to be reporting on kind of the same thing we're going to be talking a little bit about today, which is fake gun news or exposed fake gun news. So it's interesting. It's funny. I do it, so I think it's funny. If nothing else, I amuse myself. But hopefully, if you guys get a chance to check it out, you can, hopefully you'll be amused too. But it's once again both available on YouTube and on Facebook. Check it out if you don't already watch it. Also, as usual, want to remind you, fpcgear.com. That's fpcgear.com. Cool T-shirts, support the Second Amendment, and look good doing it. fpcgear.com. Moving right along. All right, here's the dealio. One of the things I studied when I was in school is I studied statistics. I was a finance major. Now I'm doing guns, go figure. But one of the things you learn to study is you learn to study statistics. And I remember my statistics professor used to say, had this saying, and you guys have probably heard me say it before, and you've probably heard it even before I said it. It's like there's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics. Well, the interesting thing about what we're going to talk a little bit about today is that these statistics they're not just they're just damn lies. They are just flat out lies. Now, to give you a little bit of a backstory, and this is interestingly enough, this story was actually broken by NPR. That's right, National Public Radio. And you guys know, National Public Radio is no fan of the Second Amendment. The people who do their stuff there, it's supposed to be nonpartisan, taxpayer dollars, yada, yada, yada. But you and I know, we know it's not. But anyway, so what they did was, and they did a piece called "The School Shootings That Weren't." Now, here's the interesting thing. So every year, there's an entity that tracks civil rights data. All right, and this is the National Department of Education. The National Department of Education does a survey every year, and they track various different things. And one of the things that they for some reason decided that they wanted to track this upcoming year was they wanted to track firearm incidents that occurred at school. They had always had violence or serious violent issues, but this time they wanted to, as a part of that, track firearms. And as a part of their study, one of the things that they came out with was this. It says here that for the first time, the CDC required schools to report on school-related shootings and school-related homicides. Nearly 240 schools, 0.2% of all schools, reported at least one incident involving a school-related shooting. And over 100 schools, 0.01% of all schools, reported a school-related homicide involving a student, faculty member, or staff. About 1 out of 100,000 students was enrolled in a school that reported a school-related shooting or school-related homicide during the 2015-16 school year. All right, so let's talk about that a little bit. Talk about exactly what that means. 240 schools during the 2015-2016 school year. Now, this is more than anybody else that had reported. In fact, even Everytown during the 2015-16 year had only reported about 29 school shootings during that same period. It's kind of we'll get into those numbers even a little bit later, but so NPR decided that they were going to investigate. And they went and they took about 3 months and they called every single school that was listed in the study. Every single one. Guess what they found out? They found out that 66% of those school shootings that had been reported never even happened. 66%. That means only a third of them could they even substantiate. Now, here, let me show you another graphic. So here's what they came out when NPR did their research. Once again, they did this over 3 months. They worked with they worked with Child Trends, nonpartisan nonprofit research organization is the one who helped them to gather this information. So what they found was that only 11 were confirmed independently by NPR. So they found 11 out of the 240 were real. I mean, were confirmed. 4 incidents were mischaracterized. I don't know exactly what that means, but I think what that means is they weren't really school shootings, or they weren't. They were incidents, but maybe they didn't necessarily equal a school shooting. And then the remaining 59 could not be confirmed or disconfirmed by NPR. Now, what that means is they're saying, okay, well, maybe they did happen, but we couldn't prove that they didn't happen. Now, after that, all the rest of them are fake. After that little bit right there, all the rest of them are fake. Fake, 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 fake. And, once again, this is a report that's put out by our federal government, by the Department of Education. And these, once again, now, these are not, and I know you were just saying, you're saying, well, but we have Betsy DeVos, we have a new chairman. No, this is put out by career bureaucrats. That's quite frankly who puts out reports like this. So these are people who have an agenda. And their agenda clearly is not about supporting the right to keep and bear arms. It's about, once again, advancing a radical agenda that would be about disarming Americans. They're all part of that. They're all part of that crowd. Here's now you noted earlier. I pointed out that they now are dealing. They want to talk about serious offenses, but this is the first time they've ever gotten into looking at some of these other things. Let me show you something. Let me show you some of the things that they noted here relating to firearms. Now, you'll notice here at the very top, there's obviously physical attacks without a weapon, threats of attack without a weapon. So clearly, on campus, there is a lot of violence on school campuses, but most of that violence is without a weapon. Now, the interesting thing about how they asked these questions was a lot of times they went back and forth between firearm and weapon. And it was one of the problems that was brought up relating to this particular study. So what winds up happening here, so you look at the top, it says physical attack or fight with a weapon. Well, what constitutes a weapon? Is a pocket knife a weapon? Is a gun a weapon? Is a bazooka a weapon? Is a rope a weapon? Is a belt a weapon? Once again, then threats of physical attack with a weapon, sexual assault other than rape, possession of a firearm or explosive device. So in other words, if you have a firecracker, it's put in the same category as having an AR-15 on campus. Once again, threats of physical attack with a firearm or a firearm or explosive device. Meaning, if you threaten someone with a sparkler, that is included. Robbery with a weapon, robbery with a firearm or explosive device. Once again, all of these things are all categorized together. So, as you can see, the data in this particular study is wholly off. when they called and when NPR talked to some of the different schools where they went and they started asking these questions, many of them said, well, the questions were kind of confusing. Some of them just said, I don't know where they got this information, because they would have to correct it. Like in one case, an individual took a picture of himself with a gun and got in trouble, and that was considered a school shooting. That was one of the incidents that was reported in this NPR story. It is crazy. It is insane. But once again, it goes to show you. As a matter of fact, and this is one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. So the reason why I said you wanted to check out This Week in Gun Rights, because I'm going to be talking about recent stories, most of which have come out and been revealed within the last week, of studies that have been done or data that's been pushed out there about firearms, about firearm violence in America, that is just plain wrong and has been exposed. And once again, it's odd. And we all know they do this. I mean, we all know that they talk about the 218 school shootings that have taken place. I think every town put that out this year. Since the beginning of the year, they were saying something like over 200 school shootings have taken place in the United States. And we all know they add things like if someone off campus shoots and the bullet goes onto a campus. If someone kills themselves in a parking lot, that's considered gun violence on a school campus. If an incident happens on the weekends with people who are not students, those are counted as that's counted as gun violence on school, or a school shooting. It's counted as a school shooting. The thing is, and then the worst part is that folks like CNN, MSNBC, and all the mainstream media, they push this information out there. And they don't even, they completely and utterly ignore the facts and the information that is there, and what they see in the study, they see in the numbers what they already believe. And what they believe is guns are dangerous, we need to ban guns. And so they look for evidence in these studies that will support the concept of banning guns. And then they wonder why we consider them to be fake news. We consider them to be fake news because it's an odd delusion. I was watching Chris Cuomo the other day when he was debating Kellyanne Conway, who worked for the president, and he was saying, well, the difference between me and so-and-so and people who work in the Trump White House is that I have integrity. No, you don't. You don't have integrity. You think you do because you think you see something, and in your deluded mind you do. But what you've done is you ignore the facts and you only see what you want to see so that it will support the opinion that you have. But Mr. Cuomo, anti-gun community, CNN, MSNBC, you don't have the facts on your side. You have your opinion backed up by statistics that are lies. And they've been exposed. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. We very much appreciate you guys tuning in. Once again, please remember to like and share these video feeds. Check out This Week in Gun Rights. Check it out. Watch it. I promise you will be entertained. The language can be a little, it can be a little saucy, but it's fun and it's funny. So check it out. I promise you will not be disappointed. You will definitely find it enjoyable. If you go actually to our YouTube channel or to our videos on our Facebook, you'll actually find editions of it already there. So once again, check it out. Please do me that favor and check it out. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. Thanks so much for tuning in and for being a part of the fight for our civil rights. Remember, got to use them or you're going to lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.